Let me ask you a question. What does empathy have to do with DevOps? I think for a lot of people, this would be a confusing thing to ask. Empathy? DevOps? Isn't DevOps like technology and tooling? So we're going to talk about it. It's something that I've noticed lately, which I notice that people talk about being a DevOps or going for DevOps engineering roles or people aspiring to get into DevOps. And hearing the term used in that way is confusing for me. I started thinking about, well, am I so out of touch? Or has the word evolved in meaning? I think what's actually more likely is that people have adopted it because it was a trend and now it has lost its meaning. So, in this video, I'm going to go over the history of DevOps. And while I may not have all of the experience that someone like Jez Humble may have, I do have a bit of an experience as someone who was in the industry, perhaps at the effect of the DevOps trend. If you want to get an idea of what DevOps actually is, I don't think there's a better source of that information than Jez Humble and some of the other creators that have come up with that idea. Me personally, I'm familiar with Jez Humble, so that's who I'm referencing. And it's who I guess learned from by watching his videos. But this video is going to be going through the history, and I'm going to address where I think the confusion happened and maybe try to contribute towards correcting it. So I suppose we should begin with this concept of a wall that was around. I remember it was called the wall of confusion. And the reason why it was the wall of confusion is because developers would be pumping out code as fast as they could, getting features out, delivering, having high velocity. And they were throwing those changes. They weren't deploying those changes themselves. They were throwing it over the wall for operations to deploy, and operations just had to figure out how to deploy it, how to maintain it, how to operate it, and keep it stable. So you had these two opposing sides with different goals that were conflicting with each other. Operations was trying to make things stable, and developers were trying to change everything. The actual term DevOps was coined by someone named Patrick Dubois. I don't know how to pronounce it. And he was also the first host of the DevOps Day conference. The whole idea of DevOps was to break down this wall of confusion and these two silos and bring people together, to encourage empathy from the two sides to each other so that each of them could learn how to help each other. At that conference, someone named Paul Hammond gave a talk titled 10 plus deploys per day. At the time, this was seen as unbelievable because most tech organizations were doing deploys kind of manually, infrequently, maybe once a week, once a month, and sometimes every 6 months or 12 months. And then a few years after that, Amazon came through and said that they were deploying every 11 seconds. And I actually remember when this talk happened, and I remember being in the office and the chatter of people thinking, how are they doing that? We need to do that. And I personally believe it was these impulses and fears and maybe some kind of like jealousy, like how can they achieve that? Why can't we achieve that? I think it was this that kind of drove this vendor industrial complex. Essentially, companies wanted to capitalize on the buzz and the hype, as any business would do, and as all businesses are doing right now. Every company now is AI native, agentic, supporting the agentic world. So, on the one hand, you had these big tech companies showing off how amazing their deployment pipelines were and how they could ship so many things into production every day. And of course, leadership at regular companies wanted to know the secret sauce. Funnily enough, the pioneers of DevOps and these processes gave away the secrets. They said, we changed our culture, we gave developers autonomy, and we built tools to support that way of working. And sadly, all that corporate leadership heard was the last bit, apparently. Of course, tooling is the easiest thing to buy and also to sell. It's very hard to sell culture change. to a company. So tech vendors took advantage of that fact, and they sold software that promised to create the kind of cultural change that people were after. Rather than adopting the principles of DevOps, of having shared responsibility across the whole value stream and giving people the autonomy to cross their team boundary and to address issues that are not in their area and help solve problems. Instead of those principles, what we got instead was Jenkins, Puppet, Docker, Terraform, YAML templates, essentially the McDonald's of DevOps. So what happened? Companies thinking that they could just buy DevOps tried to do that instead of maybe training their developers to be better at operations or training their operations people to write code to support the developers. Instead, what they did was they posted a job ad for a DevOps engineer and they formed DevOps teams. Essentially, they built a new silo and painted a different color. And the sysadmins of the day, you'll notice that there aren't really systems administrator roles that much anymore. And even if they are still around, their pay is clearly less than a DevOps engineer. And so at the time, we were presented with a choice because we knew about DevOps and we knew that it was supposed to be a cultural change. But then we saw these roles and teams popping up. And you really got a bad deal if you joined a DevOps team within the same company because you had all of these extra responsibilities with none of the pay bump. But if you left your company and became a DevOps engineer, you were looking at quite a substantial pay increase because it was new, shiny, and apparently a new skill set, but not really. And then just as everyone is settling in, everyone's bought in, they all agree DevOps is the way to run things. Google drops the holy grail in 2016, site reliability engineer. I guess you can describe this as if DevOps was a cultural thing, then the SRE book was the prescription for how to create that cultural change. There's actually a line in this book that inspired me and changed my career, which is that Google defined SRE as what you get when you treat operations as if it is a software problem. As soon as I saw that line, it was like a paradigm shift for me. It unlocked something that I felt like I already knew or that I wanted, which is I didn't want to click on things. I didn't want to do all this sort of manual labor of trying to get systems up and running and maintaining them over time. I wanted it all to be managed as code. So I would consider SRE as the next evolution which flowed on from DevOps. For me personally, as soon as SRE became a thing, DevOps died, and yet we are still talking about it today. The problem is that I think that SRE was an overcorrection to the shortcomings of DevOps. The principles of site reliability engineering was to eliminate toil through automation, measure system reliability and attach SLOs, and to balance velocity with stability through things like error budgets. If you don't know what an error budget is, it's when you can essentially deploy as frequently as you like, as long as the SLOs that you've defined do not drop below a certain amount where a user can perceive that it is definitely your fault. To give you an example, if your internet provider was to have a very short network blip, or you had some packet loss, or maybe your router at home was having issues, and at the very same time, an app that you use all the time went down, you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell which one of them was having a problem. Now, at the time, being an SRE was this revered thing. A lot of companies rebranded their DevOps engineers and their DevOps teams to site reliability engineers. But if you wanted to be an SRE at Google, that was quite a different story. And the stack of required skills to get there was quite steep. You have to realize that an SRE was essentially someone with competency in infrastructure and operations who also was a capable developer that knows the tech stack and can work on debugging complex bugs that your developers are shipping. and then in the next moment, do performance optimization on the operating system and troubleshoot networking issues. Of course, this kind of super soldier of this elite kind of sysadmin type role seemed to be the DevOps dream, where they had the ability to help delivery, but also the competency to make sure everything is stable and maintained well. But in reality, what happened was you had these elite Google SREs on the one hand, and then everyone else trying to play catch up, sticking the SRE title onto someone and just putting them on call for all of the application errors. And then maybe you can recall this, that the industry started to move towards cloud everything and microservices and containers. And this is around the same time as Kubernetes was released. And also we started to have a lot of CI/CD things pop up where we had more than just Jenkins. So we had build infrastructure, which was good enough for us to run builds on every commit. Naturally, as we kind of caught up on these ideas from DevOps and continuous delivery, we started to quote unquote shift left, which was essentially shifting responsibilities from the right-hand side of the software development lifecycle to the left. What that meant was because we had better build systems and we were practicing continuous integration and continuous delivery, it became a nice place to put all of the tasks that were previously done by a particular team or centralized in a particular team. So instead of publishing your build artifacts and giving them to QA or to security, you would do automated testing in the build and vulnerability scanning in the build. And so we started to hand more responsibility to developers, and it was with the intention to allow them to deliver faster. If they have more control and autonomy, they can deliver faster. And so we had this concept of you build it, you run it, which came from Werner Vogels from Amazon. And we created this environment where developers had control over what they deployed. Maybe they were given access to just create whatever cloud infrastructure they wanted. And if something went wrong, they were also on call for that tech stack. And the idea behind this was that if they were accountable and that they would get paged after hours if anything went wrong, it meant that they were incentivized to make their changes more careful, more reliable, more robust. But of course, as it happens, we shifted left a little bit too hard and we put a little bit too much responsibilities on developers. I think when a developer is busy troubleshooting their Terraform state or figuring out how Nginx works so that they can put a proxy in front of their server and spinning up their own Grafana to publish metrics to, then what happens is they have no time to do anything else. So now we're in this current correction. I say current because we're still catching up. There's still a lot of companies that need to get this right in exactly the same way as many companies were catching up to DevOps when it was the hyped thing. But now all of the big tech places are practicing platform engineering. So rather than an SRE being on call for someone else's application and defining SLOs for their application, or having a DevOps engineer who is setting up build tooling for the developers so that they can release their application deploys more frequently, we have this long evolution from sysadmin to DevOps to SRE to platform engineer, where the platform engineer is responsible for creating the platform on which the developers deploy, abstracting away components and resources so that the developer has a golden path to walk down where they can deploy things and most of the concerns are taken care of. Things work the same as they did before, where their app is deployed and it's running somewhere. They don't have to worry about how does Envoy work, how does Nginx work, what the hell is HA proxy. So I think the core change that was made between, say, DevOps, SRE, and platform engineering is that a platform engineer is creating these things which are self-service. they're not just managing operations as if it was a software problem. They're turning operations and infrastructure into a software product which the developers can use without having to know all of the guts of it. Just like what I built at Atlassian, developers could expose their services to the public internet through a fairly advanced proxy with lots of configuration and lots of filters and features which we took care of. I think we've struck quite a good balance where you don't necessarily have to be on call for an application, but you do have to be on call for this platform component that you're providing to the developers to help them, to give them autonomy, to allow them to deploy as often as they like, and to use these platform components to make everything work for them. So they have things like logging and metrics, and it all works invisibly and reliably. Having said that, it can be done incorrectly, and I would say that if your platform requires a developer to jump through more hoops than they would need to jump through by just clicking through a cloud console, then there may be some improvements to the abstraction that you're providing as a platform engineer. In conclusion, DevOps was never meant to be a job title, much less now, after we've gone through these stages of evolution. DevOps, the principles are still relevant, but in 2026, hiring for a DevOps engineer, it just seems completely out of touch to me. I think what the most competent and elite organizations are doing is that they have people that are domain experts for whatever platform components the developers need, which allows the developers to focus 100% on the code that they are deploying and not on all of the infrastructure and databases and proxy and logging servers and metric servers that they need in order to make their application code easy to operate and maintain. So to be completely honest, part of my goal for this video was to help to dispel this idea that there is such a thing as a DevOps engineer or a DevOps team. And I hope that through stepping through this history that I was able to do that in this video. And I hope that I paved this path to show you that yes, DevOps was a thing. It was a cultural thing. It started, 15 years ago, and no one really did it perfectly, and I don't think anyone's ever going to do these things perfectly. But it's gone through an evolution where we had sysadmins and developers. Then we had DevOps, and it was supposed to bring them two together, not to create a third team. Then we turned that third team into site reliability engineers. Then we overcorrected. We jumped on you build it, you run it, and we gave developers all of this autonomy, and that was great. But then they got overloaded because it's just too much to manage, and so of course naturally we've found a balance now where you've got platform engineers, which is really someone that knows operations, that knows their domain, and knows software and can build these components for developers. So that's what I wanted to accomplish, essentially, is I want to get rid of this DevOps title, and I think we should just get on with the practices and the balanced approach that we've come up with now. So with that, if you got information out of this, if you find this is relevant to someone who maybe does have this misconception still, then send it to them. And I'm happy to hear your thoughts as well. If anyone disagrees or anyone wants to share their thoughts, just leave a comment below. And I'll see you in the next one.